Hello. Okay, so this is a short video about how I put together the Distance comic strip. I quite like watching these kind of videos on YouTube, how people do stuff and the process of them. Um, every artist really has their own way of doing stuff, so there's nothing right or wrong in this. It's just a kind of what I do and how it works. So we'll have a look a bit at the strip in the early days and how it was put together, and then some of the later bits of artwork where I kind of get really kind of that's not going to fit on a sheet of A4, and some of the other bits and how I've gone from hand drawn to pen drawn to some stuff's done really quickly, some stuff I've spent a bit of time on. The process, basically. Let's get started. Start from the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. So first, I kind of just started drawing. You know, everyone got kind of told to stay at home, so I did. And I love drawing, so I just started drawing. And I think even when I was just doing this first one, you can see how crude the artwork is compared to the later ones. If you look at the later ones, even just in the short differences between how um, I did the eyes and then changed it later. But I think even at the beginning, doing it, it's kind of, oh, this could be a series. I could do a few of these. And I hadn't even heard. Well, I had heard of Kickstarter at that point, but wasn't even in thinking about anything like that. It was just kind of, I need to do something. I can't be going mad in the house. Which I proceeded to then do, go mad in the house. Because there's number 6. After I'd done the first few, it's like, what do I talk about? What do I, because this is horrible. This is a comic based on a really grim thing, and it's kind of like, well, I could just keep, I could talk about what's obvious, but that's dark. So silliness and fun, and which has been harder to do later on. At this point, it's kind of, this is the point at which this is still March. Clap for the NHS and all that was happening. Um, so yeah, so healthy, happy distractions, and that was a nice one. And you can see my ink's tightened up, and I'll show you a bit of tools later. 8-9, I think, is me getting the groove. This is the one because I'd seen this talk by Bill Gates ages ago when he did this talk about, if there's a pandemic, I don't think we're quite ready for it, or something like that. And so this is split over two. There's the two bits, and I wanted to get all of this talk in, so I just prescribed it. Just copied it all out. Prescribe it. What do you call it? When you write something down that somebody else has said. And you'll see that there's blank places in here. And in the finished strip, there aren't any blank places. That's because even at number 9, I was beginning to transition over to digital a little bit, just to get the more complicated things in. Because with digital in the finished version, this is the view of Deansgate in Manchester, and it's basically a photograph on a layer underneath in Clip Studio where I've kind of partly traced and partly used artistic license on stuff. But anyway, we're talking about digital, which I'll come to in a bit. In fact, I'll come to it now, because it's a bit way later in 37. I'm not going to go through each strip. If you've kind of, the strip's there to be seen, so I'm not going to pick it all apart. And the whole point was to do something a page at a time. I think uh, every comic book artist, everyone who does a comic, who does their own thing, who really enjoys drawing, their own comic strip and can get carried away to it to that degree, like I am. I just love the process. We all want things to turn into Lord of the Rings. It's kind of like, I've got my magnum up, there's one page. It's kind of like, no, 50 later, there's me doing my Lord of the Rings. Let's make everything some kind of epic. And it doesn't have to be. The whole point is one page at a time. Have an idea, have a thought, get it done. And that's what kind of caught me up later on. And it's why some stuff took a while to do. Um, and obviously you can't with this stuff. Obviously, with the nature of the subject that you're drawing about, it's recording what's happening as it happens. So it can only be what's happening now. It can't be anything more than what's happening now because you're only ever going to be behind. You're never going to get ahead of what's happening. So in that way, as a process of drawing and recording, mentally healthy, yes. Something to draw, yes. Um, and at this point, I think I was kind of like, well, I'm down for this. I'm enjoying it. You'll see here where I've got stuff written down the side. What does that mean? It basically means where I've cocked up with the actual handwritten script, which again went digital and back again. I've written it again properly, then cut this bit out, flipped it round, and stuck it where it's supposed to be over the top. And that actual panel in the middle there is the bit where the rest of this is entirely digital. So where I run from that part of the tree is where the eyes change into normal eyes, but it's not just about the eyes changing into eyes, it's about the strip transitioning from hand-drawn into digital. And where I am at the minute in late September, some of that's transitioned back to hand-drawn again. And I don't mind that. I've got nothing against moving backwards and forwards with the tools, which I'll come to again in a bit. I don't know if you're interested in seeing this bit or not, but this is where the writing happens. This is where all the ideas and all the notes take place. So, just again a sketchbook, and the script. It's not scripted in so much as it's just I have the idea, I write the idea down, because sometimes it's verbal, word based. Sometimes it's not word based. Sometimes it's um, uh, thoughts and random ideas about stuff that I just want to put down. So everything that kind of happens goes on in here and gets recorded as a big thing. Some of this stuff got binned off because it wasn't what I wanted, and then some of it just diverts off. But it's all blah 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 blah. It's all in there. This is the humble Staedtler Norris, not to be confused with its brother, the less well-known Staedtler Traditional, which is my preference of basic pencil. But I also use technical pen, which is like a Rotring 0.5. I'm thinking of getting a 0.1, which just maintains the size of the brush. Numerous fine liner pens. I'm not really bothered about the mark, who they're made by. Staedtler's nice. Doan's okay. It doesn't matter what brand they are, but fine liners of every single. That's a 0.1, that's a 0.2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got them all the way up to 8. My absolute favourite things in the world, which are these, which is Tombow Fudensjuk. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. The blue one is the hard-tipped brush pen. Brush pens basically give you like a lovely frequency of line where you can do that kind of thing. And that one is even thicker. So where you've got your fixed line width stuff here, it's kind of pencils, fixed line widths, then play about with your arty stuff, and then I work up to this, which is a Japanese calligraphy pen. And what you can do with that is it's a very soft brush pen. Brush pens are amazing things. And when I was a kid doing comics, way back in university, everything I did was pencil and brushes, actual brushes. And no one uses brushes these days. I think, well, some people do, but mostly it's brush pens, because the level of flexibility you get with a brush pen is just insane. Kind of like you can do a 0.1 line, but I mainly use this for like feathering and just filling in solid blacks. Really good for doing like windows and glass effects and stuff like that. But that's a thing of beauty. So between that 0.1 and those, that's pretty much every single conceivable line width under the sun covered. Then I've got putty rubbers that I'm kind of on and off with. I've got a pen, and then I've got that, which is you can't draw with that except on the screen, because that's a Wacom Intuos pen. It's also a Wacom Cintiq pen. You can use it for both. So here's that number 8 strip again, and you can see now there's there's the building in the background that wasn't there before because it's kind of there and it's kind of not. Because it was added, this has been hand drawn, scanned in, and digitally, then digitally touched up after the fact. So that layer this is basically a lovely Wacom tablet that I spent lots of pennies on getting for my day work. So you can draw on it like you would draw on a sheet of paper. So, you know, if the Hulk was going to invade Manchester, then he would. That's just a really quick example of how you would draw in this. Loads of people doing videos on YouTube of how to draw in this particular package, which is Clip Studio Pro, which is amazing. It's better than Photoshop. Whisper it. It's better than Photoshop. But it's really, I mean, I'm not showing you what it's amazing at doing, but, you know, when you can just quickly do stuff that knocks shadows in on things and draw it. And what it really helps with is, obviously this took a bit of time to do. You'll see there is the actual, that is my own photo reference. So I went down and took that picture, brought it in, scanned it, sits on a separate layer, and then I can kind of draw the perspective over the top and fit it in the way I need to. So it does what it needs to do. So again, moving backwards and forwards between digital and drawn, this was later on after I've done some digital stuff where I wanted to kind of catch up, but I also wanted to get back into just drawing by hand again. And I might well move backwards and forwards as we go, who knows. And again, there's some blank panels where it's like, okay, some of this will be done digitally later, but these are the main points of focus that I want, so we'll put these in as hand-drawn bits. And the bit falling off the board, I just wanted to do, just to see, just not have that safety net of digital, just see if I could rock it out, which I did one night in a pub, and a couple of lads sat down and watched me kind of do this end to end in about 2.5, 3 hours. And the advantage with this was there was no script. It's kind of, I knew it was just one action, capturing it, lots of movement, lots of action. The nearest I kind of got to veering away from trying to record the day to day, because this was the kind of there's three little bits where I go on camp, and I wanted to make the strip not relentlessly about the thing every single time. So I allowed myself just to divert for those three, and then of course that's when I just get massively carried away because that one was done in colour, and is very introspective and it's in colour because I just want to have those little flashes of colour here and there to bring colour into the world. So colour comes in very briefly, like it did in number 25, just to say, okay, let's think back. What was the world like beforehand? We'll get there again. It'll all be fine. Things will be good. Keep talking. Keep discussing things with yourself. And that one took me forever. So next thing you know, I'm doing back to get it done mode again. Get it done. Get it sorted and fixed. Don't take forever. So at the time of doing this, I'm up to number 58. And I always said to myself, I'll keep doing it till Christmas and see how it goes. And there was a point where I thought, do I need to keep doing it? And then it's kind of like, oh, there's still stuff happening, and there's stuff happening right now at the back end of September that we'll not dwell on, because while I've been doing the strip, I've been adapting kind of hand-drawn, digital, whatever kind of works, and that's kind of how I'm approaching life at the minute. I don't know about you. Whatever works, adapt, make it happen, and try and stay positive. It's been quite harder to write recently with, how do I find the positives in this or the lighthearted when with the, kind of fatigue set in a little bit. But positive, I'll stay, and I hope you do too. And I just want to say one last time about the Kickstarter, and it's the first time I've ever done a Kickstarter, and I had no kind of a modest expectation, but even a modest expectation met is achievement unlocked. So thank you again for supporting the strip, and hopefully I won't have to do it forever, and there'll be a point where it can kind of like we'll come out the other end of all this and everything will be cool. So take care of yourselves. I'm John. Thanks for watching. Bye.